And so this is why it makes a lot of sense for us at NVIDIA and Foxconn to be partnering together to be building the next wave, the next generation of industrial manufacturing and robotics and autonomy. For physical AI, we don't really have much in the way of a large data set that allows us to describe the physical world around us. What we build at NVIDIA is a platform called NVIDIA Isaac, and we've broken it up into essentially three core parts. The first is that we believe that you need to have these open robot foundation models. When we're working with Foxconn, we want to be able to bring a baseline intelligence for the types of tasks that are going to be applicable within the factories themselves, within the manufacturing lines themselves. It can't just be trying to retrain these models from scratch every time that you're trying to add a new task. There are simply too many tasks, and there are too many different areas that we need to apply it to. So first, we need to have a baseline intelligence. But how do we get there? We need to have simulation platforms and robot learning frameworks that allow us to train these robots and to train these skills inside of simulated environments at scale and faster than real time. If we need every robot to go through 20 years of learning before it can actually become useful, we are already too far behind. And so this is where simulation really brings us this answer. The ability to simulate a robot is the same thing as saying, I can simulate something at faster than real time. How can I train a robot in 20 years time, but only spend a few hours in real time? And this is how we end up with scale. Not scale on compute, but scale on tasks. And so you can think of it in two ways. One, the amount of tasks that are required for us to do valuable tasking inside of these industrial spaces is extremely large. And it doesn't just start with basic tasks. You have to create these compound, extremely complex tasks. And so one, the task is really complex. On the other side, in order to capture all the data for each of these tasks, it is exponentially greater than the task that you have. And the reason is because a single task can be applied to many different environments. And so this is why we need to have simulation platforms and these robot learning frameworks to allow us to train these skills and apply them to all these different domains prior to actually deploying them into the real world. And so all three of these are essentially trying to solve for one of the problems that we were already blessed with in the beginning of LLMs, which is we didn't have the data that LLMs have, and so we have to build it ourselves. And so this is our way of trying to solve for this data gap, trying to save for the data problem by creating a set of platforms that allow all of us together to be able to generate and capture the data that's required in order to build out these necessary skills. NVIDIA is a platform company. We believe very, very heavily that we need to work with the ecosystem, and it makes even more sense for us to do this with robotics. And that's why working with Foxconn, it allows us to start solving for one of the most important and one of the hardest challenges out there, which is industrial manufacturing. Smart manufacturing has the unique position of being at odds with the way that we think of general tasking. But when you look at all of the fantastic technologies that Foxconn is working on, but the complex processes that go behind those technologies, none of that information is available on the internet, which means that we have to build these data pipelines and these data factories ourselves. And so this is why it makes a lot of sense for us at NVIDIA and Foxconn to be partnering together to be building the next wave, the next generation of industrial manufacturing and robotics and autonomy.